How's it going? I'm Ryan, and today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on SPY. It was a really small winner. Had the potential to be a much bigger winner. I sold a little early. We can jump into that and look at that trade in just a second, but for now we're on the daily time frame here looking at SPY. Overall trend, we failed to set a higher high here, and we have pulled back to set a higher low. From this point, we could continue, or if we start to break down, potentially signaling the start of a downtrend. But view the levels I was watching. Look at the 30-minute chart here. So we had the high and the low from Friday's trading session. We opened up below Friday's low, so a gap down, overall weak signal, and we started the morning off pretty weak. Had a little bit of a bounce in the afternoon, but overall coming into the day was feeling like we might lean more towards a bearish sentiment, just due to the fact that we had a pretty large sell-off to end the day Friday, and then that selling off continued through the weekend and the pre-market. So a little bit of a going into this day we had relevant to where we were looking. We had the Friday's low around 498.7. We had this zone kind of corresponding to it. We had this zone because it was the top this day. The bottom of this day where it found support before breaking upwards. Bottom of this day where it had fallen and found support in this area. So this zone between like 498.7 to 499, pretty wide range. We also were watching between 497.75 and 498. This was the swing high here, and then to the downside around 496 we had 495.8 to say 495.6, an area that we had a swing high and found some support back last week as well. And then we had this zone down here which is around 494.8 to 494.4, so a little bit of a wider range, and that was just this day's low. Kind of that lower 40 cents of that wick or so also kind of corresponds. If you were to draw it out this way, you can see that as well, somewhere in there, right? 0.8, sure. Anyways, those were the zones we were looking at. Feeling kind of bearish leaning into the day. With that being said, I did not take puts off open. I was watching SPY off the open, and we'll take a look at QQQ in just a second. I didn't trade it, but I want to show a setup on QQQ that I missed because I was watching SPY in the morning. QQQ got a perfect rejection off the Friday's low and continuation similar to this. I did not take any trades here because we were kind of in between the zones I was watching. But QQQ had a really nice setup off the open that I will take a look at in just a second and kind of analyze why I wish I took that. It's obvious, but take a look at that. So off the morning, we fell through, broke through that pre-market low, came down and found some support in this like 495.8 zone that I had. The selling momentum kind of slowed down as we got in here. You can see we were starting to get some more choppier sideways action with these longer wicks. We set a bottom and low of the day here, and as we came down and reapproached, we set what was looking like a double bottom, and I entered calls on this candle here. So trying to make this a little more evident here with the volume, but you can see that the volume on this candle was pretty high. Yeah, it's not letting me draw a line, but you can see comparatively to the morning, it was a pretty high volume candle here that we came down, tested this zone, held, closed above the previous day's low. And then I was watching the 1 minute as well, and what I noticed, it's very evident here, is this volume on this hammer candle. So we came down, held it on one, held it again on one of the highest, it was the second highest volume 1 minute candle up until this point, aside from the very first opening minute. Usually the opening has really high volume, so for a candle here to have almost the same volume as the opening candle, I knew that there was a ton of volume, a ton of buyers, because we printed this hammer candle, tested this area, And then on the 1 minute chart as well, kind of closed, holding on to that previous low, you can see. And so I decided to enter calls here. So it's kind of corresponding holding of the 5 minute, double bottom on the 5 minute, as well as this huge surge in volume on the hammer on the 1 minute as well. Gave me the idea that buyers were in this area. We were holding this previous day low. It looked like a lot of the selling that happened earlier in the day was a little bit exhausted as we were kind of having this sideways movement. And to me, it looked like the bottom may have been in. So got calls here. I sold in here. So right before this big surge in volume kind of pushed us up, and from there it was an upward trend. I got out at the top of this candle. My initial target is 495 or 496.5, just because it was kind of this general range up in here that we had rejected off of before. You can see found some support, broke below, kind of bounced around this area quite a few times. So that was generally the area I was looking at to sell. I got out early, which is a bummer, because after seeing this massive rise in volume then proceeds to drop pretty low, continues to drop, and we're starting to form these long upper wicks. And so while we aren't making lower lows, my stop, by the way, was a break below this wick. So that was my stop loss. And while we weren't making lower lows, we were looking a little weak in terms of volume and price action. So I got out on this candle here. It was also on the 5 minute, we were starting to approach that. We were touching the 9 EMA on the 5 minute as well. So I got out. I didn't feel like the volume I was expecting to come through here did. And it came through right after I got out of this position. So we had this bigger candle here, even with this long upper wick. From there, kind of made our way all the way up until that pre-market low at 497, which would have been a beautiful target to hold for a runner. So I took about 10% profit on these overall. So really not great. I usually risk about 10%, 10, 15%. So this is about a 1-to-1 trade, not ideal. The idea was there. I was able to recognize the double bottom, the volume coming in, the hammer. So it was on a zone that I had everything, I think. That's the wrong day there. Everything in terms of recognizing the trade and acting on it was right. But the execution in my position management and in terms of holding a runner, really having a solid target and sticking to that target. Like I said, we can take a look at the 5 minute, and you can also see why I had the target of that 495 points or 496.5. Yeah, there's just kind of this general area up in here that we'd wicked around in. So it pushed quite a bit higher. Those contracts went near 100%. So about 10 times the money that I made could have been made here. So it is what it is. It's a learning opportunity. I'm glad that I recognized it when I did and took that trade and wasn't, I had a plan. I just got kind of shook out of it a little bit. That's to say what happened on SPY there. We made that lower high at the pre-market low. From there, we continued to make a new lower low, kind of bounced around from zone to zone in there. We'll take a look at QQQ, and this is the trade that I wish I had been paying attention to. So I'll also back it up and take a look at the significance of this zone that we were watching. So we're looking at the 30-minute chart here. The zone right around this 430 is an area that we had touched and rejected once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Had an area where we kind of consolidated for ripping. 5 times on the rejection. Support here. So it was a big area of interest that we were watching. With it coinciding with the previous day low. So Friday's low was right in that area as well, right around like 429.85, right around that 430 whole number. So I should have been more, I guess, conscious of this coming into the day, that we were so close to this massive level. And yeah, should have been paying more attention to this right off the open, but I wasn't. I should have had alerts or something. It happened really, really quick. So, you would have had to get in pretty close off the open, but we did push up and test this area and drop, did we? We went like almost $6, nearly $6 straight down with no real bounce in sight. those contracts went crazy. And I want to show you on the 5 minute, I probably wouldn't have taken it, but looking at the 1 minute, it is a really nice setup. It's a perfect reversal here where we test that 430 level and the previous day low, print this beautiful setup where we push up into this area, test it, show weakness, an immediate reversal. So that would have been a beautiful trade, taking that down to the pre-market low, and potentially further with runners. But that is one setup I missed today. That was clear as day, beautiful setup right off the open. And I used to not trade the open, and I still don't trade it often. But I will say some of the really nice moves, some of the really nice setups do occur off the open. So trying to get a little bit more familiar with that, and if there's a setup that I would really like, such as this, where we broke below such a key level and then we're coming up to retest it, looking for that retest and rejection would be something that I'd be likely to trade off the open, because it's just a nice setup. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching very much. I do trade live Monday through Friday, so I'll be here all week trading. Do come check it out if you feel so inclined. That's all I have for you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.